Let us pray. Lord Jesus, it is you who wakes me up every day. And I'm forever grateful for your love. This is why I pray. You let me touch so many people, and it's all for the good. I influenced so many children. I never thought that I would. And I couldn't take credit for the love they get, because it all comes from you, Lord. I'm just the one that's giving it. And when it seems like the pressure gets to be too much, I take time out and pray and let you be my crutch. Lord, I am not perfect by a long shot. I confess to you daily. But I work harder every day, and I hope that you hear me. In my heart I mean well, but if you help me grow, then what I have in my heart will begin to show. And when I get going, I'm not looking back for nothing, because I will know where I'm headed. I stand before you, a weakened version of your reflection, begging for direction, for my soul needs resurrection. I don't deserve what you've given me, but you never took it from me, because I'm grateful, and I use it, and I do not worship money. If what you want from me is to bring your children to you, my regret is only having one life to do it instead of two. Amen.
Came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, we love you, know. We came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, the sports show.
Yeah.
No. That was a rough one. That was a rough one.
I know.
Wow.
I know. Rest in peace to DMX for sure.
It was hard being in Tampa when hearing that news too. Like, it was somber. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. Like, on my way to the arena, I played DMX the whole ride. Did it's crazy.
What a loss.
Yeah.
What a legend.
Definitely.
My first teaching job, I taught up in Bedford, New York, way up there by Mount Kisco. And I had the pleasure. I met DMX randomly one time in the airport with my mother years ago. But I had the pleasure of coaching one of his sons in football when I was in my first teaching job. One of his sons was on the team. I believe that that young man would probably be a freshman or a sophomore in college right now, depending on what his age was when I had him, because I don't remember if he was a 7th grader or an 8th grader when I taught him. But yeah, that was rough.
Most definitely. I think.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Amanda.
Hola, mi gente. She gonna beat me up when she sees me, but yeah, X touched a lot of our lives. He's a major part of hip hop through us growing up. Just there's not many people that you can legit call a legend and really be able to stand behind it. X is one of them.
Yeah, he was one of the only 3 rappers I ever felt like I could identify with. When he came onto the scene, I was already in high school, and I just felt like somebody. People used to say that like I was like a female him when I was a teenager. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, every time Party Up come on, she look like Brock. Like,
I had Brock traps for sure, but wow.
She gonna throw Matt on the shoulder at F5 one day.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Nah, but my first introduction to X was remember I told you like my parents tried to keep me away from hip hop. So like my first album that I bought was the Blueprint 2. No, not Blueprint 2. It was Hard Not Life. And my first introduction was Money Cash Hoes, right? And I'm like, yo, this is hard. I'm like, we ain't say hard bad. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I like this. So sneaking to listen to Hot 97 with my cousin, I started hearing Rough Riders Anthem. I started hearing Slipping. I think the first track was Slipping, and it was just like, all right, this is one of my top. He's my top 2 now, right? It was of course it was Hov because that was my first album I bought. I'm like, he top 2, like he's up there.
Yeah, it was always up there for me. It was always him, Hov and Pac.
Yeah, but that was before I got into Pac. I got into Pac later on in life, right?
And then of course old schools, the Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, stuff like that. But damn,
when I started engulfing all that, that's when I started rearranging my list. But I've always, like was a DMX fan. One of the my favorite albums was The Great Depression. It helped me through a lot, that album. So it's like, even with all these years and all the struggles that he's been through, like his music was always a constant on my playlist. So, and it's just like, that news. It when he first went in the hospital, I like we heard, OD, but I don't think that's what it was. I think it was a heart attack that he had or whatever. And it's crazy that that's what they tried to portray it, to get, clicks, which I don't like. But when I first heard the news that he was in the hospital, I was just, I was real sad because one of the last interviews that I've heard from him was Drink Champs with Nori, and that was like in February. And he sounded great. He sounded clear. Because I remember the last time I heard before that was another Nori Drink Champs, and he sounded out of it. So it was like to hear
I think that Drink Champs was a while back.
Yeah, I know. That was the last interview that I saw of him before the one in February that they just released. So it was just like to hear how clear he was, after the verses with Snoop Dogg, and it was just like, all right, he's hitting that turn, that corner. He's doing more music. I think they just released another song with him this week with French Montana and Swiss Beats, I believe. I'm not really sure. I didn't really listen to it. I got to give it a listen, but I just, it hurt. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, there's a lot of deaths that we seen in that industry, and it was like this one hit just as hard as the Michael Jackson one did. Right?
Hell yeah! And I mean, the sad part about it is this man had demons he didn't deserve.
Yeah.
And he turned into demons that he caused upon himself. It's a sad cycle, and my deepest condolences to him, his fiance, his children, his ex-wife. That journey through addiction is not one for the weak at heart. When the addiction struggle is one that is a lifelong struggle, and some days you overcome and some days you fall under. And unfortunately, the day that he fell under, helped cost him his life. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that this man has given all he can give to the industry.
Yeah.
Or, he's inspired a whole generation of rappers that don't even sing his praises. You never hear him in those top lists at all. And it sucks. You guys always gave him his flowers. I always gave him his flowers. But there's some people who are now just jumping on the bandwagon to give him flowers, and that's kind of corny to me.
It is. It's, people always wait until after somebody's gone to give them the flowers. Give them the flowers while they're here.
But, people just still don't understand the throes of addiction. And it's something that once it gets a hold of you, it's hell to get it off your back.
It's one of the worst diseases to be caught up in. And for people who don't understand that it is a disease, please do your homework. I'm not going to scold you.
Yeah. It's a choice to not believe
that
it's a disease. But from what we know now, we know too much more now than we did years ago. We know that, a lot of it starts from trauma. And it takes also kind of bravery to still get up and try to fight, even though you're still exhausted from fighting those same traumas the day before. So it's not for the weak of heart.
Absolutely. Rotated from that, how outside of that, how was everybody's week?
I'm still coming off that WrestleMania. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm not gonna hold you.
This past weekend's events were amazing to watch and some people be a part of it. It was amazing. So
when you got back, Ted? I got back like Tuesday night. Was it Tuesday night? It was like Tuesday night.
No, I don't think Tay went. Yeah, I don't think Tay went. But
you ain't gotta give me the death stare? I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I know she didn't go. So
I heard somebody yelling at me. I thought it was you. I mean, every time. Of
all the other black women in Tampa, you just hear a yelling voice. And you just
I think that's just your conscience.
I ain't gonna hold you. I could have sworn I heard, Matt, you better buy your son that $17 bucket of popcorn. Why is it $17 is what I'm trying to understand. And then they give you this old Super Bowl bucket. Wrong event. It's the wrong event. I'm not paying $17 just to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the No.
Well, that's Tom Brady karma. So
I figured that. You ain't gonna lie. I dead thought about Pete. I'm like, Pete did this.
This whole thing.
The whole thing. Pete did the whole thing. All right. Speaking of Pete, you got some quick hits for us today?
I do.
All right.
I do.
Let's get into it. You don't have the swoop, so we can't really make fun of you today. So
that bang hang.
No bang hang.
Let's get to it. He had that swag about when he was giving them quick hits too. I was like, he got his hair did. So
right.
He was not even
looking like Al Sharpton.
I will stand with you.
Alberto Sharpton.
I would rather be Ricardo Rodriguez.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Quick hits. Bro, I gotta find that whole thing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Quick Hits for the week of April the 17th. And this week, we are sponsored by The Bayang, the hair care product for when you need to pre-record your segment for your podcast a couple of days early. Put The Bayang in your hair. Trust me, it will work.
With the Gorilla Glue.
Yo, his bang was like stuck, like it wasn't moving. Like,
tell you, he saw Grease or The Outsiders right before he did that.
He was in Grease.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Outsiders.
Grease.
Wow, I didn't like it. I don't know why.
Outsiders too, but Grease. Oh my goodness.
Can I make an assumption?
Amanda loves Grease. Oh my god.
Can I make an assumption, Tay? But probably wrong. Are you a Rizzo girl?
Yes, I'm a Rizzo girl.
All right.
Horrible.
Real fans of Grease are Rizzo girls, I believe. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get into
Wait, you're a Rizzo girl too?
Yes, he is.
He got you. He got you. That was a good one.
You lobbed that up.
Listen.
Windmill that one.
First ball.
All right.
Rizzo girls are the Sherry girls.
All right, so going into quick hits. So going into the NFL, let's start with Titans running back, legendary Titans running back Eddie George was named the head football coach at Tennessee State last week, looking to turn that around and taking a book out of Jackson State's playbook and hiring a former legendary player with little to no coaching experience. As we know, Jackson State hired Deion Sanders to be its head coach not too long ago. Moving to the NBA, Donovan Mitchell, no structural damage shown in his ankle from that right ankle sprain that he suffered. So he will miss a couple of games, but will not miss a long amount of time. But not the same can be said about Nuggets guard Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray out indefinitely, tearing his ACL in a non-contact injury against the Warriors. Jamal Murray was averaging 21 points, almost 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and shooting 41% from 3 this year. Also in the NBA, the Boston Celtics have found their missing piece, ladies and gentlemen. They have found the savior to help their team, as earlier today, the Celtics signed former number 2 overall pick Jabari Parker to a contract.
I'm not even going to do it. I'm not doing it.
Next.
Going to the WNBA this past week, the WNBA draft happened. For the first time in WNBA draft history, one team had both the number 1 overall and number 2 overall picks.
The Dallas Wings had 4 picks in the first round. The WNBA has 12 teams. Dallas had 1, 2, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 4, and 7, something like that.
Yep. And they stood close to home with the number 1 overall pick, picking Charlie Collier, the first ever Texas Longhorns player to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft, and also the second
WNBA draft.
That's what I said, WNBA draft.
No, you said the other sport.
Did I?
Yeah.
Let's try that again. Charlie Collier was picked number 1 in the WNBA draft, the first ever Texas Longhorns player to be picked number 1 overall, and the second Big 12 player behind only Brittany Griner, who was picked out of Baylor. So Charlie played for Texas, will be staying close to home in Dallas with the Dallas Wings. And last in our quick hit segment, many of you, well, actually, our second to last story. Many of you may have missed the history that got made 2 weeks ago as Hideki Matsuyama became the first ever Japanese male player to win a golf major. And of all the majors, the man won the Masters, winning the Masters at 1 under par. He becomes only the second ever Asian player to win a major tournament. South Korea's Yi Yang won the 2009 PGA Championship, but Hideki Matsuyama becomes the first ever Japanese male to win a major championship and gets the green jacket at the 85th Masters. And last but not least in Quick Hits, for those of you who might have missed a little bit of history last Saturday night, when for the first time ever, 2 African-American women were in the main event at WrestleMania, when Bianca Belair took on Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship in the main event of Night 1 at WrestleMania, making history as the first ever time in the main event at WrestleMania 2 black women have faced off. We have yet to see 2 black men face off for a world championship in the main event at WrestleMania, but I am sure that after our history-making turn at Night 1 of this year's WrestleMania, that history-making turn is not far behind. And let us give
I'm not going to hold you. We're talking about black women right now. So
this is true. And let us give our flowers. Let us end Quick Hits by giving our flowers to the woman who won that match. Who won that match. Bianca Belair becoming new SmackDown Women's Champion.
Hold up. Bam.
Boom. Let us end Quick Hits now.
Right.
Before I get the Spanish rice smacked out of me. Yes. Let's end Quick Hits. I see.
Imagine. Boom.
Yes.
Just gone. But no, giving our flowers.
That stayed in place was the swoop. That was the only thing that stayed in place.
No, the swoop would have protected him. She would have swung. He'd have been like.
Yeah. Listen, in the days when I used to wear gel, that would have actually worked.
You mean last week?
I didn't wear gel.
You mean last week? Like,
yesterday.
Talking about yesterday? Like,
yeah.
This is
I
why the ball say Brooklyn.
I actually had no product in my head. That was all water.
I would never believe that.
I don't believe that at all. You had Soul Glow or something.
No, the only thing I wear nowadays in my hair would be pomade, but that I rarely wear.
How old are you?
Had Pete on quick hits looking like a Motown singer. I don't know what that was about. Got that David Ruffin.
You want to leave.
He had that David Ruffin, boy. I swear.
Let you go.
Oh my God.
Oh man, if he would have started singing, we'd have to be in the back like. You guys make such clip-worthy stuff, y'all.
I'm a boy, Damon.
Ain't nobody came to see you, Otis.
That will never not be a great line. Ain't nobody came to see you, Otis.
Oh man!
When I was pregnant with my daughter, I think I watched that. It was The Temptations, The 5 Heartbeats, and Borat.
Yo, we have to have like an after the year about those movies. I love The 5 Heartbeats. The 5 Heartbeats is my favorite.
That's a classic.
That
is a classic.
That's nothing but love for you, baby.
When they was on the car.
Yes.
Nothing but love for you,
baby.
That was my man. But thank you, Pete, for quick hits. In the world of sports, we got some things to talk about today. But let's get into it. And for everybody who want to know, this first topic belongs to Matt. We'll let y'all know. This first topic belongs to Matt.
I'm just saying I blame Bobby Brown.
Oh boy. Oh man.
Bruh.
No Bobby Brown slander. He was just on the red table.
I gotta see it. Was it good?
It was. I got halfway through and then it got really, really, really.
How was Bobby Brown on the red table and they didn't just straight up like you committed murder?
How? With who?
Wow.
Whoa!
Wait a minute.
No, you
Wait. Are we doing this? Are we blaming Bobby for Whitney? Are we doing this?
You better not.
You better not.
She was on crack way before she met him.
She introduced him to it.
Yeah.
True. All he was trying to do was give her some good loving and some eggs. That's all he was doing.
It's
Don't do that.
Or eggs.
Eggs. What's that?
Oh,
Eggs.
the AIDS. I'm like,
see the movie?
Ford.
I was like, yo,
see the movie?
This episode's turning crazy.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, her and her brother experimented with drugs way before she met Bobby. You know, he used to smoke weed and he was a bad alcoholic. Mm-hmm. That was the vice.
His eyes used to be glassy as all hell.
That was the vice he brought into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but you see how the media is a juggernaut, though?
OD.
The media made everybody feel like this all-American princess, which, you know, God rest her soul, Whitney Houston, amazing voice. You get what I'm saying? No voice like hers.
My mom loved that woman, boy.
I love her. Oh, my gosh. You could not have been a child in the 80s without your parents, one of your parents at least, like a Whitney Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Saving All My Love played every day. I couldn't stand
I tell you, I honestly believe there are very few people that you can badmouth in a home, but I think there is very few, if any, black households that you could ever say a bad thing about Whitney and not get jumped for it.
Whitney and Michael.
Yeah,
Whitney and Michael,
but yeah. All right, guys.
Okay, yes, Michael.
Yeah, no. I agree with Michael. Yeah. I agree with Michael. All right, y'all. Today's topics. Get into it. All right, so Aaron Carter.
I can't even believe this is even going to be a topic. It's just.
I'm going to start putting screenshots of our conversations in the chat. When you said this at the beginning of the week on Monday.
I saw the press conference.
On Monday. Like, you said this on Monday.
I looked at the press conference like,
we got to touch on this. We got to touch on this.
This is going to be hilarious. This is going to be fun. This is must see.
So, Matt,
I want to know if they even going to make it to the fight.
The floor is yours, Matt.
Lord Jesus, help us. Lamar Odom is fighting Aaron Carter coming up soon. It's coming soon like a Dwayne Johnson movie. And it's going to be the most car crash, the biggest car crash we've seen since Tiger Woods. Too soon?
A little too soon.
All right, we're gonna play the clip. We're gonna play the clip of the press conference.
That's my fault. My bad.
Aaron Carter. Good. All right, guys, don't touch each other because you get closer, scared.
My man had on a Dwayne The Rock Johnson shirt, and he was about to bring it. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see.
I ain't even really go down.
I have so many questions.
I have so many concerns.
Aaron Carter's from the streets.
Truly concerned.
Aaron Carter's from the streets. You saw the stance, right?
Aaron Carter
You
is
saw the
going to
stance.
beat the dog shit out of
Aaron Carter's from the streets.
Yes.
He is from the streets.
No,
Yeah.
but for real though,
Nah.
real talk, Aaron Carter is winning that fight.
I
Did
believe
you
so too.
So question. So I have lots of questions. One, how in the blue hell is Lamar Odom even cleared to be in any kind of physical confrontation? The man is still in his 18th, withdrawal. Okay, from God knows what drugs he been taking. Okay, that he might.
You on something this episode. You on one. What is up with you today? You is not going to disrespect Lamar Odom like he ain't from Queens.
First off,
as a Queensbridge native, you don't do that.
Hold on. Is this the same Lamar
He was
Odom?
on crack. I mean, what do you guys
Of course
think?
not.
Hold up, Pete. I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna show you all what the fight really gonna look like.
Come on.
That was an old man.
Two old men.
That's two old men. That's what it's gonna look like. Two old bodies. Two old body having men fighting each other.
Ain't this the
How old is
man?
Aaron Carter?
He's older than y'all though. He's like in his early. Alexa, how old is Aaron Carter?
She got money.
Eric Carter is 51 years
He is
old.
not 51 years old.
Nah,
Alexa,
no.
No way.
how old is
Eric Carter's 33.
Aaron
Eric Carter's
Carter?
33. He's 33. He was born December 87.
Now, okay. This is the problem. Right.
Alexa must have been smoking that crack that Lamar Odom was smoking.
Let me tell you
That was
something. I don't know why these two men are doing this.
money.
I don't know. But what kind of it gotta be first of all, who's watching that?
It's Triller. It's the same thing that
I'm
did
not
the
watching
Nate
that.
Robinson thing.
Yeah, but what
I'm
was the
watching.
main event? But hold on, what was the main event that night? The main event that night was
It was
Mike
Tyson
Tyson
and Roy Jones.
right?
Yeah, you must have forgot.
You must have forgot.
Yeah.
So are these two the headliners?
I'm not even too sure. I just
Okay.
I know there's a Triller fight tonight though.
Number one, I'm not gonna hold you, but the people who put that together, they are so money grubbing and hungry, and they're not looking out for the best interest of these two men. Aaron Carter does not look good.
I'm sorry. It's gonna be a crackhead fight. It's gonna be the funniest shit
I'm
ever.
really concerned about Aaron Carter's mental well-being going into this match. He looked very, very, very unsettling during that head-to-head. And to be honest with you, the people, you should be ashamed of yourselves for putting on this spectacle. And that's because I didn't see that press conference until just now.
Hey,
Now,
I swear.
I knew that this was going to happen, and I've been saying this for weeks and weeks and months, that Aaron Carter is going to beat Lamar Odom. But
Man.
they're both losers in this whole thing because
Oh,
there's
man.
other ways to make money.
I now know what I Want Candy meant this all these years. I never
I'm
knew.
so disgusted.
Yo, you gotta chill. You gotta chill. Pete, what is your complete thoughts on this? Oh,
Is that how he beat Shaq? Lamar Odom trying to get paid back?
I gotta go.
Yo, we're about to kick his ass off the show.
Yo, between Matt and Peter.
Oh man. All these years I wonder how he beat Shaq. Now I know why. Lamar Odom trying to get revenge.
He got one more.
What?
Pete, go please.
Him and Hillary Duff, they both look alike now.
Okay, it can't get worse. I know I'm lobbing it and I'm putting this in on it, but whatever Peter's gonna say, it really just can't get any worse.
It's not even funny. I'm really concerned.
No,
I am too.
Lamar Odom, out of the two, looks the healthiest because Lamar Odom has the most money to get himself in condition. He was just about to play 2 years ago in the Big Three.
I think he's about to play now. Didn't he? I could have sworn I just read something about him getting.
I think he's trying to play again, so he's in some type of condition to play. Aaron Carter looks like he just came off the corner.
I'm going with Lamar Odom, man. He's a New York treasure, man. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm a fan of Lamar Odom.
Let me tell you something. Aaron Carter is a strong young man. Okay?
I had a comment.
Yo, shit, I know what you was gonna say too.
I had a comment.
Don't.
But me and you both know we are both from New York. You especially from Brownsville. So I know you seen. Go ahead, Pete. I'm not gonna say nothing. Go ahead, Pete. You're gonna get canceled. Right? Go ahead, Pete. You seen some crackhead fights. I'm just
ain't this the man? First of all, let's just take a step into the Wayback Machine for a minute. I want to take people back to October of 2015.
I thought talking about the 80s. Pump that bass.
When Lamar Odom was found unconscious in a brothel in Nevada.
Hey, it wasn't his fault. They slipped him something. They slipped him something. You got to hear him on Drink Champs. He tells the whole story. I'm taking his word for it.
Okay.
Chloe,
listen.
Chloe, what?
The man.
Don't you dare.
Look.
Don't you dare.
Hold on.
You saved his life. Don't you dare.
Look.
Don't you dare.
In 2015, this man was found unconscious at a Nevada brothel with a large amount of drugs in his system, and according to doctors, suffered kidney failure, multiple heart attacks, and at least a dozen strokes. I know people who could barely survive one stroke without it having some kind of detrimental effect to their mental stability and mental health. Okay. And doctors said straight up that him pulling through was miraculous, and they were unsure about the long-term effects on his mind and body. Well, doctors in Nevada, I present to you Lamar Odom versus Aaron Carter, a boxing match. We have obviously figured out that there have been a long-term negative effect to this man's mind, because there had to be something broken in this man's mind for him to think that this man is going to go into this man has no business in a ring. Secondly, okay, when did Aaron Carter look like he was supposed to be the main star of of that old show on HBO about the hookers from Hunts Point? The guy's got a face tattoo that looked like was done at a strip club by a glow-in-the-dark light. Okay, what the hell is going on with Aaron Carter? Okay, I don't understand what's going on with these people. Both of these, listen, okay, somebody's on drugs, and I think it's the guy who booked the fight. Okay, this is unconscionable. This should be unconstitutional.
I agree.
This is whoever booked this fight should never be allowed to book a fight or an entertainment thing ever again. These two men should not be. Honestly, somebody in authority, somebody in power has to step in and say, yo, pay these two people. This fight cannot happen. I'm sorry. This is going to be worse than Nate Robinson getting knocked out.
I think so. Let me tell you something. Jake Paul and Nate Robinson is one thing. You know what I'm saying? But Lamar Odom and Aaron Carter is a whole different story. It's been well documented that Aaron Carter's had his problems with demons and stuff like that. And I feel like if there is a way to regain some type of relevancy, this is not it.
No, this is the type of thing you would see on the cartoon Celebrity Deathmatch. This is not something we need to see in real life.
That's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And somebody please fix Aaron Carter face tattoo. Why the man got a face tattoo? Please fix that. It looked terrible.
He did that during one of his benders.
It looked terrible.
It's sad because this kid one time was like the Justin Bieber before Justin Bieber. You know what I'm saying? He laid the groundwork for the Biebers and the whatever the other ones' names are. But, you know, it's sad to see that, you know, they're exploiting these men.
Absolutely.
And I'm not buying that pay-per-view for nothing, especially seeing that whole debacle.
They look like they were fighting outside of a freaking pizza shop in a mall.
Yo, Pete is awesome today.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm just saying,
We're gonna
boom jam.
Moving forward. Yo,
He beat
the
Shaq.
worst.
I think he might beat Lamar Odom. Who knows? Lamar Odom from Queensbridge though, so I don't know.
Like Queensbridge people don't get beat up. Like what you talking about?
He survived the Kardashian. I think we need to give him a little bit more
I
credit.
know. Let me tell you something. People are so quick to say Kardashian woman curse and this, that, and the third. That's not fair because he came into this situation like this. You get what I'm saying? And that girl stuck by him through that. Do you know how embarrassing it had to have been that he was cheating on her with prostitutes and using and bringing his friends in the house and using in her house?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And do you know that it took her a lot to let go of him? And then to still, at his darkest hour, to still show up and be in his corner? That is a woman.
Yeah, she's a woman. I can do that.
All right.
Look at that. Mm-mm. Oh man! All right,
You going Aaron Carter, Pete?
What?
We're moving on. We're moving on. We're not talking about this no more. We're not talking about this no more.
Listen,
We're not.
I'm picking.
No. We're not talking about this. No. We're moving
I am
on. We're moving
picking
on. We're moving
the
on.
one person that neither Aaron Carter or Lamar Odom have obviously spoken to in a long time.
Make sure.
That is Vaughn.
Oh, what? All right. So I'm about to remove you. I thought you were gonna say something crazy. I had my hand on the remove button. I was like this. I was like,
I'm going with God.
I thought you were gonna say therapist, but
that too.
I thought you were gonna say a dealer. I was ready for something. Matt would say that.
Lamar Odom need to talk to Shaq. Figure out, all his
Lamar.
mistakes.
Let me tell you something. Lamar Odom don't need to be doing this to himself.
Absolutely not.
He doesn't
I
need.
wonder how much they getting paid. I'm about to Google that.
Please do.
Please do. Yes, and bring we'll bring it up later.
All I know is that Rasul Butler better be right behind him because apparently Rasul Butler cost Lamar Odom $120,000 in a club once because he bought a bottle and Rasul Butler looked at him and said, "Yo, step your game up." And next thing you know, he bought like 12 Moets, cost him $120,000 in the club.
That's tough. All right,
that's a charity. Like,
moving from that,
they are the charity.
Moving from that, going into Lamar Odom's teammate, that's tough. Moving into Lamar Odom's former teammate, as many of us know, Kobe was slated to go in the Hall of Fame last year, along with KG, Timmy, and a few others. Due to pandemic and his untimely passing, that was not the case. But this year in the Hall of Fame, they are dedicating the 2020 and the 2021 class this year. And Michael Jordan will be presenting Kobe Bryant into the Hall of Fame this year. I don't see any other person who could have done it probably outside of his wife.
Or Shaq.
Or Shaq. But Michael Jordan seems like the most obvious choice. I'll start with you. What is your thoughts on this? How big is this?
It is a monumental moment. I think that, Kobe's untimely death You get what I'm saying? It's one of the biggest sports tragedies in my lifetime. And I feel as if there, like you said, there was no one else more suited behind his wife, and maybe even tie it with Shaq, and MJ. But this is one of the biggest like homages that MJ could pay to Kobe by inducting him into the Basketball Hall of Fame. I think it's a big deal, and I think it's deserving. He deserves his flowers.
Absolutely. Pete, your thoughts?
I mean, I think the only other person, as y'all said, besides Shaquille O'Neal or his wife, would have been a collection of Lakers teammates that he's played with before and past teammates and coaches as a collective, putting something together. I would like to see the NBA Hall of Fame put together some kind of video package with past players and coaches talking about the legacy that Kobe left, even some of his greatest opponents talking about the legacy that Kobe left, not only on them as players, but on the league. I really wish David Stern was still alive because I would love to hear David Stern speak on Kobe. Because David Stern, you saw in every kind of interaction he had with Kobe, he had real love for Kobe Bryant. I don't think there's going to be anything, though, no matter what. Even Mike, I don't think there's anything that's going to reach the magnitude of what Kobe Bryant deserves outside of Kobe Bryant being there to speak for himself, which we all wish he was. Something in my heart really does hope that his wife and his daughter are able to be, spoken to and have something to say and are part of this celebration of his life and his career. I just wish Kobe. I really wish Kobe was here for this honor. I really wish, because he deserved to stand up there and get his flowers at this moment.
Absolutely, Matt.
Well, it all makes sense, for Michael Jordan to present him into the Hall of Fame, because there was anybody that was the closest of being him, or like remotely coming close to even mimicking everything that he does. He was like a clone. He wasn't the exact clone, but he was the closest thing to him as far as imitation and the will to win, the killer instinct, all his mannerisms. It was Kobe Bryant. So it's just like it just makes so much sense, for Michael Jordan to present him in. Like Pete and Tay said, it's going to be hard because you wish he was there to accept it, and to I know he knew how great he was. We all know that Kobe knows or knew how great he was. But this is the affirmation. This is the affirmation of all affirmations to his career and the legacy that he left. It's just it's gonna be. I look forward to it. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. But it kind of still doesn't make up the fact that he's not gonna be here for it. That's that's where I'm at with it.
I agree. I think everything is coming full circle in a way. From Kobe calling MJ, but Kobe and MJ playing in Kobe's rookie year. Kobe playing MJ's retirement game, playing against MJ in one of his last games, retirement games, to, like I said, now Jordan being able to induct him, somebody he looked up to, somebody who was like a little brother to Jordan. Michael Jordan says this, and we spoke about last year that Jordan doesn't really open up to people. We just found out a whole bunch of stuff because of the documentary last year. Right here, he said it even at Kobe's funeral. That was like his little brother, and you can see a lot of the similarities. And again, it's one of the highest honors as a basketball player, and a lot of players now, regardless of how anyone views Michael Jordan, the person, the player, is again, it's a supreme honor to be recognized by him as a player See, I know how to dodge bullets. Y'all just be walking into them. So
gotta relax.
You telling me to relax?
Yes, you.
You telling me?
You saw the death stare, right? You gotta relax.
I saw it, but I don't walk into it like y'all just be blah blah blah, and then they going into it.
I don't look directly into the box until it's too late, and I'm like, okay, you know.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Yeah,
that's you.
So I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. Pete got the right mentality. He just mutes him because he says, "Damn, I ain't doing this." You know? He just got the right mentality. Yeah. He be talking. She can watch. She don't like what I'm about to say. That's what he does.
Matt, your dog, get him some water or something. Like, what the hell?
I think somebody just walked into the house. That's what she does. Yeah.
Yeah, still hear me? Okay, there it is.
Let me go.
My mic was jamming. All right. So from that to Brooklyn Nets been talking crazy lately. They've been talking pretty spicy for a team that don't got everybody playing at the same time. Whether it be KD, Twitter finger.
Don't lie. I heard that. Don't lie. They ain't talking spicy. The Sixers was talking spicy. Not specifically Ben Simmons. Don't do that. It wasn't them talking spicy. Talking about some, it's only one ball, and you still got to play defense. Shut up. You can't shoot. Shut up. All that talk. Work on the jump shot.
And KD can't see me get overload management. So
I'm mad at that. Don't get me wrong. You dropped 30 the night before, and then you go on. You dissipate.
You said. You said.
I'm aggravated with that. You missed too many games for you to be just
right. So
peekabooing. We don't need that.
Right. So let's get right into it. Smoke section.
So yes, earlier this week, Uncle Shannon, Uncle Shay, and KD had a little exchange. It was really bad on Kevin Durant because all the stuff that he's been going through for the last couple of weeks, especially with the thing with Michael Rappaport, and you're just not making yourself look even. You're not looking good. Period. Even if you might have been right, I don't necessarily know the whole statistic to it. I just know you need to shut the hell up and play. That's what you need to do. I'm tired of all the bull stuff of you texting and using your Twitter fingers. We don't need it.
Shut up and dribble?
No, I'm not telling him shut up and dribble. I'm saying shut up and play. You need to play. We don't need you talking all this trash and going back and forth with fans and shit. We don't need it. We need for you to be on the court. Kyrie is by himself right now. James Harden has a hamstring injury, and he's out for a little bit. You need to play. You missed like 30 games already. Play. You already said. Granted, you tore your Achilles. You was out for a year. You messed up your hamstring. You're cleared to play. Play. There should be no reason why you didn't play in that Sixers game after Ben Simmons was talking all this trash about how they the best team in the East, which is up for debate. They're playing really good. They're a real great team. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to be biased. They're a really great team. But everybody and their mom knows what this Nets team is capable of if they're hitting on all cylinders. We're not going to make it seem like they can't possibly be the best offensive team assembled in the history of NBA.
You like technicalities, bro, but I'm going to let you live with it.
I don't like technicalities. Look, it's up for debate. We will find out in the playoffs who is the best team in the East. And that's just that. It's not much of a debate. We can assume that the Nets are the best team in the East. Why? Because they got 3 superstars on one team. We can assume that. But it all goes down into them series. If they're healthy, there should be no excuses to why you lose to the Philadelphia Sixers or the Milwaukee Bucks. It should be no excuses. If y'all are all healthy, y'all did this for a reason. Y'all getting all of this scrutiny because of this team assembled for a reason, to win a championship. So if y'all don't make it to the finals, what is it for? What is all of this sitting out for? What is it for? You got teams coming at y'all saying y'all ain't worth nothing. Y'all cheated. Y'all stacking the deck. They got all this to talk about. They are literally highlighting y'all mishaps, which is the Twitter stuff, the lack of defense, Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, which we found out earlier this week that he retired. Congratulations on your career. It's a sad thing to hear about. You know, you had a great 17, 16-year career. You was that dude in the post and in the mid-range. You was that dude. I'm sorry to see you go, especially because you just joined the Nets and you probably could have. This was your best shot at getting that ring. And for it to end that way, it sucks. But back to my point, you have all these players that got to y'all at a discount price for y'all to get to this goal. Don't sit out games, especially if you're healthy. What are you sitting out games for? And this is a game that decided the number one because y'all both were tied for number one. Ben Simmons is talking trash. Joel Embiid was bodying him, all down the post, bodying him. And there was no Kevin Durant in sight. We know why LaMarcus Aldridge wasn't there. Blake Griffin was nowhere to be found, which I said to Pete a couple weeks ago. He was just going to be a body on the roster because he's going to always sit out or he's going to always be hurt. This is why I said that. There's no reason why Kevin Durant dropped 30 the night before and then he doesn't show up for the Sixers game. Can't afford this. Chemistry is everything.
There is a reason.
Chemistry is everything.
Go ahead.
There is
a reason.
And you said it yourself. The reason is because this team's goal is to win a championship. And so Kevin Durant, being the healthiest he can be, okay, to win a championship is what's necessary. That's why they're being ultra conservative with James Harden and what they need to do. Now, the loss of LaMarcus Aldridge is a major thing. But at the end of the day, they want this team to be 100% healthy going into the playoffs. They go into the playoffs 100% healthy. Because let's be very honest. The only team that has a chance to stop the Brooklyn Nets at full strength is the Los Angeles Lakers. At full strength in a 7-game series. That is it.
So we believe.
Okay, listen.
We believe.
I love the man that I think should be the MVP. I love what Joel Embiid has been doing this year. I love what Doc Rivers has been able to get out of Philly. But unfortunately, Philly is a talk big team and they don't deliver. Right? Okay. Boston has not delivered in the playoffs the last couple of years. Miami doesn't seem to be the same team. Toronto does not seem to be the same team. So right now in the East, okay, and you know what? I'm on the same train as Tay and as Dre and as you. I don't trust Giannis and Milwaukee. Right?
And they've been playing good. They've been playing good.
Yeah, but they always play good in the regular season.
I'll give you that. I know, like always.
So the Bucks are like the Paul George of the East Conference.
To me, there's no one in the East. If the Nets are at full strength, with or without LaMarcus Aldridge, there's no team in a 7-game series in the Eastern Conference that's going to beat the Nets at full strength. Now, in the West, okay, I think there are. I thought the Nuggets could be one, but I don't know if they're going to do that without Jamal Murray. Not without Jamal Murray. It's not going to happen. The Jazz, the Suns, and the Lakers, but only one of them can make the NBA Finals, right?
Back to the Denver Nuggets thing, right? What is your initial statement about the Denver Nuggets? You don't think they were going to make noise, or they're not going to make it out the first round?
I think they can make it out the first round depending on who their opponent is, but I don't think that. And Matt, before you go on, I just want to kind of pass that on now to Tay, because I know Tay was trying to say something because she was going to make a point, and then I just finished my point. So, Tay, please carry on.
Okay, well, I am in full agreement with Pete on a couple of things. But I don't feel like the Brooklyn Nets are as scary as people thought they were. This is something that I've been saying. I feel as if all you have to do is put a little defense on them, and they won't know what to do. I'm just being honest. You get what I'm saying? I think that if Miami had a defense-first mentality, they could still be a scary team if they make it to the first, second round of the playoffs, depending on seeding. You get what I'm saying? I feel like the Philadelphia 76ers are your traditional Doc Rivers team. They do an amazing job during the season. They are a seasoned team. You get what I'm saying? But they are not always a playoff team. Something, I don't know what it is about Doc Rivers teams. You get what I'm saying? But they get to the second round of the playoffs, and it's as if they forget the caliber of team they are. It's as if all those rookie immature mistakes that they should be making during the season, they make them all during the playoffs. And we tend to forget that the Hardens, the Durants, and the Kyries, they all make those similar mistakes in the playoffs, bro. They do. I'm looking at when they've played when they played in tandem with other superstars, or when they didn't. When you had Harden, Durant, and Westbrook in the Oklahoma City Thunder, that's what this team is reminding me of. That is what this team is reminding me of.
I get where you're going, but I don't think Russell Westbrook is the same kind of caliber guard or as Kyrie Irving is. I think Kyrie Irving is a lot more skillful, and I feel like
Russell Westbrook is a better player than Kyrie.
And James Harden's not the same player then that he is now. So
James Harden's better than he was. Better than he was now. And I would say this, I 100% agree with Tay on the assessment that Russell Westbrook is a much better player than Kyrie Irving. But I also think Harden, like he was then, he's more dangerous now. He can take over a game more now as a number one option than he could back then. But I think what's really good, and this is where Harden excels. This is
before you go into that soliloquy. With the Russell Westbrook and Kyrie Irving thing, as far as IQ, you think Russell Westbrook is better than Kyrie Irving? IQ.
I do personally.
I heard you. I want to see.
I think it's slightly. I think Westbrook is more dependable. I think Westbrook's head is more in the game sometimes than a Kyrie. I think Westbrook does a lot more. Obviously, does a lot more.
Does Russell Westbrook make more mistakes than Kyrie?
Well, yeah, because Russell Westbrook is a more reckless player than a Kyrie.
So you answer my question just now.
I don't think it has to do with IQ though.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
But in the playoffs, when it's a chess type of situation, it does.
But you're not looking. It's hard to compare the two. Let me just be honest with you. What you're looking for from Kyrie, you're not looking for from Russ. If that makes any sense.
It makes 100% sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for me to put them in that category. What I'm saying, as far as when you look at those Oklahoma City Thunder teams, right? And when you look at this Brooklyn Nets team, there's two things that are glaring at me right now, right? Harden is a better player. KD is not.
What?
KD is not.
KD is not what?
KD is not better now than he was in OKC. I don't think so. I personally don't think so.
With injuries included, I can see why she said that. In terms
injuries
of
included. This is going by years.
Mm-hmm.
He has years on his body now. He's had a lot more injuries on his body now. He's not the same player. Right, and then when you're looking at Harden is a better player, I'll give you that. Kyrie is not as strong to me on the floor as what you're looking at Westbrook as your number one or your number two. You're not looking at Kyrie as your one or two. You're looking at Kyrie as your third best option on that.
Yeah, I think this is where I was going to get with Harden. Right, this is where I think Harden excels, and this is why I think we saw a lot of negativity surrounding Harden, a lot of the way that they projected him in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Harden is better when he has players that he can feed off of. Harden has the basketball ability and skill to be a number one player, but he is better as a number two because he has the ability to be a number one. But when he has somebody who can take the focus off of him, when he has somebody who can take the onus off of him, when he can just play and not have to worry about being the playmaker and not have to worry about being the focus offensively of the team, I think that's where you see Harden really excel. Harden is the kind of player to me who needs to be a Robin, but has the ability to be a Batman, but cannot be a Batman himself.
I agree.
Well, here's my thing.
I agree.
Here's my thing about Brooklyn in general. Like, I just don't think they can get over that injury hump. And if they're faking, not faking, but if they're really, really load managing until the playoffs, then and nobody's really saying anything, people need to go back and apologize to LeBron James. People need to go back and apologize to the San Antonio Spurs for doing the same thing. I say LeBron James because in the Cleveland years, LeBron James did the same thing. The second time around.
When?
The second time he was in Cleveland.
Kyrie.
With
I don't
Kyrie.
remember him missing games. I don't really ever remember LeBron missing games like that.
He's load managed. He's load managed.
Not to the excess that's happening right now.
Not to the excess, but he was doing it, and then he was getting crucified for it. San Antonio Spurs was doing it; they were getting crucified for it. Now the Brooklyn Nets are doing it, and nobody's saying it.
I'm not gonna hold you to. And I know some like we kind of. Some of us get at Stephen A, but I kind of agree with him on a situation when it comes to LeBron. LeBron has earned the right to miss games. Let's be 100%. He's in his 18th season.
He played almost every game last year.
And he's played every game, exactly,
including the bubble games.
He's earned the right to miss games. He's in the latter part of his career, even though he doesn't look it, and his skills has not declined at all to go along with that. But the man is up there in age. He's up there, and you got to understand that this is supposed to be the build up to it being Anthony Davis's team, right? So he's earned the right to miss games. I would never crucify LeBron James, even if he's not as hurt as we think he is, and he's missing these games. He has the right to miss games.
I think every veteran has the right to miss games, and I think as long as it's clear with your, as long as it's cleared with your team, as long as it's clear with your coach.
Yeah. See, so when it gets to that point, here's what I say. I'm not saying just be like, you know what, I don't feel like playing today. But what the Brooklyn Nets did was something that Pop got fined for a couple years ago. This was a nationally televised game, first of all. And this was basically a seed game.
It was a seed game. It was
100%. It was a seeding game. So, with that being said, I can get James Harden because James Harden is actually hurt. Kevin Durant just played.
And he wouldn't miss a game even if he tried to make it.
Kevin Durant just played the night before.
Well, the thing with Blake Griffin is they set themselves up for this one. They announced when they acquired Blake that he would be on an injury maintenance plan to make sure that he was playing to the best of his abilities. So they set themselves up for being able to do things like this. What I think what Pop got fined for, in theory, was the same thing, but he sat all of his obviously 100% healthy big three just because. And that's where the NBA had a problem with it. They're like, hold up, there's no injuries. There's nothing. If Pop had freaking fudged an injury report, they wouldn't have given him nothing. But there were three obviously healthy players, and Pop just sat them for a nationally televised game, and that's where the NBA got upset. Again, I think it was wrong. The coach and the players should be able to do as they please as long as they're all in agreement with what's going on.
That's not fair. You get paid to play 82 games. Play your 82 games.
This is what I'm saying.
You play your 82 games.
If you can't play up to the expectations of your contract, you are contractually obligated to play 82 games unless barring injury.
Right.
If you feel like you're at a stage in your career where you can't go a full season, it's time to hang up the boots.
Well, I mean, every sport builds in days off, with the exception of the NFL, because they only play once a week. So they do build in. With the exception of the NFL, because they play once a week. Any sport that has a long form season, Major League Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, they all build in days off for veteran and or star players. So they're never expected to play, even if they're 100% completely healthy. No star player.
I hear you. And it's a little bit more weirder now because it's a condensed season, so there's a lot more back-to-backs, and like in like a 4 or 5 day span, like you'll probably be not playing for like 3 or 4 days, and then you're playing like 3 or 4 days back-to-back. I hear you and I get it, and I understand, but you played, what was it? It was Monday, and then the game was Tuesday.
Yep.
Like, you've been out for 28 to 29 games. You were advertised as back. You should have
been
played.
out for almost 3 months, bro. Come
exactly.
on.
You have to play.
Like,
you have to play. I'm sorry.
The Durant one, I'm in agreement with all of you. I didn't understand the Durant one. That one I didn't understand. I understood Blake. I understood everyone. I didn't understand
Blake. I get it. I just didn't agree with the fact that they signed him, knowing that he wasn't. Look. Let's be clear. He's not the same Blake Griffin from the Clippers. He's not.
He hasn't been that for 5 years.
Exactly. I'm talking about health-wise.
Yeah, right. I agree with you on that, Tay. I don't think they expected that. But
no, I'm just saying health-wise.
Yes.
Not as
absolutely.
Talent. I'm talking about health-wise.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
It's just a matter of you just picked him up to be because he's a name and he's just going to be a body on the roster. If you're not going to get what you need out of him, and let's be clear, and this is why I asked Pete when this was first being announced and it was in the process. What are you looking? What is the purpose of getting Blake Griffin? What is his role going to be?
Well, his role is, unfortunately, I'm going to name the player whose role he's there to fill, but he's not anywhere near what this player did or could have done for their team in comparison.
Dinwiddie?
Okay.
Are you saying Dinwiddie?
No.
Mm-hmm.
He was essentially signed for the same reason Miami signed Chris Anderson way back in the day. He was there to be a big body and get boards, and that's it. Now, Chris Anderson turned that into a really valuable bench spot, and he started on occasion, and Chris Anderson showed that he was still a very valuable player. Blake Griffin's not going to do what Chris Anderson did, but he was signed to essentially fill the same role that a Chris Anderson was signed to fill in Miami during that time. But here's my better question. Where are the bangers in the NBA? Where are those guys that you can sign to a contract and going to go out there like a Chris Anderson, who are going to give you quality minutes, who are going to give you the nitty-gritty, who are going to give you those things so you don't have to sign the washed-up name who's literally just there to chase a ring because he's your boy?
Well, no, I agree with that. I think
that part.
Yeah, I think for everything, you see what the Clippers are doing. They keep signing Boogie to 10 days. I think Boogie could have had Blake's spot and would have been more productive and actually would have been playing.
That's what I'm like. I would have understood Boogie a lot more than Blake Griffin.
I understood LaMarcus Aldridge more than I understood Blake Griffin.
I didn't understand LaMarcus Aldridge either until I had to really sit and think.
Aldridge is a big body. He can't hit boards.
Right.
We make excuses for the fact that you have to sign these names because your big three is injury prone.
Now you need a roster. You need depth. That was another most important. You need
depth.
KD is injury prone.
Did we not talk about this? Go back into the archives. Did we not talk about this when we almost all of us, with the exception of Matt to some degree, I think, explicitly said the Brooklyn Nets had no business making a trade for James Harden that would deplete their entire team?
And they ended up not depleting. And they ended up not depleting the team, which made it worse. Like they didn't really lose anything.
They still don't have the depth for me.
Right. They lost.
They picked up Marcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, and they're not there.
And I would have rather had Jared Allen right now.
And Karis LeVert.
I would have rather had Karis LeVert. I'd rather have Jared Allen. Don't get me wrong. Let me put it out there so it doesn't get lost in tape. James Harden has been a fantastic player since arriving in Brooklyn. And we are all seeing what a motivated James Harden can be. But again, I don't believe the Nets needed to mortgage what they mortgaged for James Harden, especially when you mortgage the depth, because what Tay said is 100% accurate. We know that Kevin Durant is injury prone, okay? So we know we need the depth.
Absolutely. So, one last thing on the NBA. There's been some back and forth with some players about the play-in tournament. Mainly because people are saying, well, it's not fair. Yo, y'all are funny. It's not fair because 9 and 10 should have better records to get into the playoffs. I get what they did in the bubble, and that was basically the peak interest. But real quick, do you think this play-in tournament thing is going to be available for the next 5 years or so?
I hope not.
I think it will be. Here's the thing. It will be. Here's why. It will be for the same reason the NFL went to a 17th game. Revenue. More television time, more ads, more revenue, more butts in the seats when stadiums are able to fill up and arenas are able to fill up again. That's what it is. Playoff basketball, just like any other sport, playoff sports are going to bring higher ad rates and buys and money and things like that. So, yes, I think it will be something that somehow, some way will become form and function of the NBA moving forward. I don't think it should. I think it was good for the bubble. It should not have been something they reinstated this year.
Everybody in agreement on that?
Yeah, I get it. Like I said, I understand it. If we're just talking on the business of money and the competition of it, it just means that you could shit the bed for if you're like the last, 7, 8, 9, it's like 7, 8, 9, 10 seed, and they play in for the final spots. I feel like you can shit the bed and still make the playoffs.
And here's and I get it. Like
but they have more teams. The thing about that is the 9 and 10 teams have more games to play than the 8 and the 7 and 8 team.
Right, but
so I guess that balances out, but it still doesn't make it fair.
Major League Baseball did this by adding a second wild card team, and their thought process behind it was it increases the amount of competition. More teams are in it, so you have less people trying to sell off their teams at the trade deadline, right? Because what you used to see was all the contenders would usually be able to completely identify the teams that were 100% out of it and just raid their teams for players that they were willing to get rid of for salary dumps. And so in the NBA, I can understand that as well, but the NBA trading deadline isn't the same thing and trades aren't the same. I agree with what Matt says, and here's going to be my question. What happens when a 10 seed runs the table one day and wins the whole thing?
Yo, I'm just going to sit there and be like, yo.
What happens? What happens when a team that wins the play-in game gets into the playoffs and just miraculously goes through the entire playoffs and wins the NBA championship? I guarantee you that then it will become a problem.
Absolutely. Real quick, just to mention, you mentioned Mania. I know Queen has to go do something, but we mentioned Mania real quick at the beginning of the show, and what an event it was. When I could spend years on this, probably a couple minutes, but the fact, like we said, we had night one of WrestleMania. They call it the blackest WrestleMania ever, and
it was black.
It was really black. We have
it was
black,
lit.
We have a black WWE champion. We have a black WWE Women's Champion again, and it was an amazing sight to be in. I know Matt got to feel the experience,
and Titus O'Neil by himself did a great job. By himself, hosting WrestleMania.
Titus and Bailey.
Titus O'Neil did a
Bailey
great job.
Yes, and Bailey too. Bailey definitely.
Oh yeah, Bailey and Titus. Those were the only two people that hosted Mania. I mean, they were legitimately with the appearances by Bailey and what Titus was able to do as the solo host of WrestleMania.
It was just amazing.
Great job.
It was just amazing.
Damn, we booed that shadow out the building. I
don't know what shadow you talking.
It was some shadows there,
I heard something come crashing down, and it might have hurt inside, but I really didn't. I wouldn't pay attention to that.
The only thing that hurt me inside was the rain. That was the only thing.
Yeah, you was out there in the rain, but not so. Mania was the event, but okay. So Raw after Mania was terrible. Get that out the way.
Shout out to the War Raiders.
Yeah, shout out to the War Raiders because that was the best part of Raw after Mania. And then you go to Tuesday night, and NXT is again knocking it out the park as usual. Hey, little one.
I thought it was a really good show, but I thought it also fell a little flat.
How so?
I think I love that they're finally letting Karrion talk. Don't get me wrong. Karrion can really cut a good promo. It was great seeing him back. But it just fell a little flat to me because I felt like there was a lot of fallout from NXT that didn't get addressed. And it was the first show back. It was the first show on Tuesday nights. It was definitely the better show comparing NXT and Mania, but I just felt like it fell a little flat. And I don't know if it was because it just seemed like there were a lot of names that were not there to really pay off what happened at Stand and Deliver. But yeah,
top 2 matches on Stand and Deliver.
You said top 2 matches. What?
Stand and Deliver. What was the top 2 matches?
Oh, Kyle and
Kyle and Cole.
Kyle and Cole and I think the women's match.
Over the ladder match? You like the ladder match?
I love the ladder match.
I thought the ladder match was really good. Honestly, the shenanigans was kind of like, all right, bro. Like there was not if he would have won straight up. I know he's a heel. I know about storytelling and all that stuff, but the shenanigans kind of at the end kind of messed up the match for me.
And the tag match was the tag match.
Tag match was amazing, yes. But I have to have that tied up between the women's championship match and the tag match. That's my one and
I also want to give a really good shout out. Listen, Io Shirai and Raquel did great, but I want to give a huge shout out, honestly, to that Walter Ciampa match. That was one hell of a match. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about kind of like that old school, classic, hard hitting wrestling match that still has a little bit of evolution to it, I really thought that was one fantastic match. But I agree, O'Reilly and Cole did a great job. And then the women's match is great. And can we just admit Io Shirai Io Shirai is approaching, to me, Jeff Hardy levels of just I will jump off of anything crazy.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
There are three people in the WWE that I want them nowhere around if there is a random weird thing to jump off of. That is Jeff Hardy, that is Io Shirai, that is Shane McMahon. I don't want them anywhere near weird things that they can jump off.
Shane took like one of the best bumps of the night.
Yo, I just want to point out in night one, TV does not do this man justice. Omos is huge. He is tall. Like, he threw Kofi up to Jesus and dropped him. So they was like, oh, he took a pin to that. Yes, he was high. He's real high in the air.
That's sky real high for sure. Sky high. You know, D'Lo did the sky high, and he did skyscraper for sure.
Kofi gave me a pound and everything because I was pretty high in the air. He got tossed. Right. It's crazy.
And but the last two things we're gonna talk about: Impact and AEW. We'll start with Impact, post Mania Impact. The legend Jazz has retired. I believe this will take her off, main rosters like a major company, and she'll be done. She does have some independent dates coming up. There's a Black Girl Magic show coming up, and she will be facing Trisha Adora. So make sure you have a look out for that. But yeah, Impact has been slowly but surely working their way back up. I think they piped in some crowd noise too, but it's kind of awkward how the way they did it. But and AEW did 1.2 for the first time for the first time in a while. They hit 1 million in a while, and we were discussing it amongst each other, and we definitely believe that this is great for all wrestling in general. This is great for all wrestling.
Yeah, there is a major company on cable television or broadcast television every single day of the week in terms of Monday through Friday. You have Monday Night Raw, you have NXT on Tuesdays, AEW on Wednesdays, you now have Impact on Thursdays, and SmackDown on Fridays. And that's not to state that you have MLW also streaming, and I forget what platform
everything
MLW was on.
Everything.
Yeah, MLW is also on during the week, so you have and Ring of Honor still putting on shows as well and things like that. So you have all of these wrestling companies on cable or broadcast television or some sort of streaming site throughout the week. And even if you just go with the 3 multi-million-dollar companies in Impact, AEW, and the WWE, you have a wrestling show on every single day, Monday to Friday. And it's been a long time since that's been the case. You cannot say that you don't. I'm actually glad that NXT was moved to Tuesdays. I'm glad that Impact moved to Thursdays, because now no one can say that they have to compete, right, in terms of watching anything. You can watch whatever wrestling show you want to watch on its own day.
I ain't gonna hold you. I forgot NXT was on Tuesday, and I thank God I got it DVR'd, right? So I got to see that moment, with Bianca, Rhea, and Raquel. It was dope. They had a little picture at the back. It was dope.
Yeah,
it was dope. I'm glad I got to see that.
Yeah, Matt. I feel like T sends the kids into the room to tell you when to wrap it up.
Yeah,
she'd be like this. She'd be like this. All right, go upstairs. Knock, play on Daddy's door, and then he gonna know it's time. But
and they did the little inching thing. You saw them inching, right?
They was like. So, shout out to the Jobber-Tiz Network, of course, the Jobber-Tiz podcast, who just had recently retired legend Jazz on their previous show. So make sure you tune into that. Sazone Talk with Janelle and Amanda. They're doing great things. They're dropping an episode coming out this Tuesday. If you're listening to this on Monday, yesterday they dropped a Sazone Sessions. I was on it with Amanda, so you definitely check that out.
Got checked 2.5 Bros. They had Chisel Adonis on there. That was a
Chisel
good
Adonis,
episode.
That was a really good episode.
You gotta really listen to that. That was a really good episode. 2.5 Bros.
Yeah, shout out to Talk of Champions. They're doing their thing, running the Facebook world.
And I'm just saying, as this week comes to a close, I just want to just make a statement to whoever the number 4 seed is. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for that number 4 seed. I'm taking you out. I'm winning this whole thing. I'm saying that right now. Dre, I'm getting my win back to go to the finals. That's all I'm saying. I'm getting my win back.
Oh, all right.
Right.
I had to explain to
Peter, it's okay. You can't beat me. I am the
Yo, Dre is the only person that beat me twice.
I beat you twice.
Oh,
so
yeah.
and I beat you twice. It wasn't fluky. The first one was fluky. The second one I got you, bro. Like I got you.
I honestly think me and Dre this year in fantasy been like Rocky and Apollo. Like we just go.
We've been on two separate ends of everything, but then now we may face each other in the finals. It may be a crazy Yerrr finals, so you never know. But again, shout out to everybody. We got a lot of good things coming up. Brooklyn bullshit is something me and Matt were working on some months ago. We've always talked about. So that will be dropping soon. So stay tuned for that. Another tea time is coming up. We're almost at the end of the month, so I can't wait to hear what Tay has for us. I feel like it's gonna be a lot more kicking, but I'm gonna be backstage just doing the kicking this time.
Are we even invited? I'm just wondering because we're invited.
That is up to the host. I have nothing to do with that.
I'm just wondering.
I have nothing to do with that.
You're on mute. I can't hear you.
You've had enough episodes on load management, okay?
I just didn't.
You're looking like KD right now, so you might.
Are we invited? Is what I'm at because this your show.
If you wasn't invited, I would tell you to your face that you wasn't invited.
Matt is trying to start trouble for no reason. And
I know.
Really, I'm asking in case because Pete might got something to do. I might have to help him. I'm not going to the Bronx, but. I might have to help him.
You might have to help Peter with what?
I don't know. Maybe he got a show. I gotta carry his luggage or something. I look out for my brother.
All I can say. Oh, I do have one last thing to say. Dre, I have a message for your client. Okay, for your client. Just let them know. Okay, and all them posers who tried to come to the challenge. Okay, that don't nobody eat wings like me.
Bye, guys. I gotta go. Some wings. Lord.
We'll talk about. We'll definitely talk about that. I'll have my client get in touch with you, but I know in my heart.
Client? What is
Sir Wilkins?
Talking about Wilkins.
Sir Wilkins.
And the hot wing stuff.
The wing
challenge. Y'all gonna
eat all these wings. Have y'all assholes feeling like
because he doesn't eat like junk food until those days. So y'all realize he's starving himself up for that for that day.
You don't realize when you starve yourself, when you do eat, you can actually eat less because your stomach is filled with gas.
Yeah, he doesn't starve himself. He doesn't starve himself. He just doesn't eat crazy.
People,
yeah.
The thought of gluttony like that makes me nauseous. I can't watch other people eat. Like the hot dog contest, like on the 4th of July and stuff like that. One time I went, I was young. I had a date there 4th of July when I was little. I was like a teenager.
Damn, he took you to a glizzy contest? Oh, man.
I threw up. I was like, nah, I can't watch people eat like that.
Oh, man. But
yeah, eat some hot wings if y'all want to.
I could do it. I probably will. Challenge them eventually.
You don't even want to pay $17 for a bucket of popcorn, but you talking about.
I'm just saying, Tay, it's a small bucket of popcorn. What? That shouldn't be $17. I can go to the supermarket and get Pop Secrets for $3.
Oh man!
And that's practically how much is in that little small bucket. That was $17. The tub was weird.
Did you say Pop Secret?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. All right. Well. Anyway.
I'm from the hood, Pete. You couldn't afford over.
For BK Matt. Yes. For the voice of a generation, Pete Rosado. For the queen, the reigning
No,
defending
no,
undisputed champ of Yerrr Sports Show.
Who just
Gotta be
wrecked
happy for
everyone's and leaves.
Wrecked Madden left. It is your boy,
I hate
Big
you. I really do.
Baby. Get over it. Signing off. Peace.
Horrible.